Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. German Sports Network coming to you live. We are talking boxing. And we on this conversation where we talking about Gervonta Davis being a potential star in the sport of boxing. Now, can this happen? Absolutely. But this is interesting. Leonard Ellerbe did an interview earlier on today. Well, no, it wasn't today, but it was this past weekend. He did an interview and he was asked, it was on Fight Hub TV. You can check it out on Fight Hub TV, but I'm going to play you the audio of this interview. And I think where a lot of people are really missing the misconception of what it is that Leonard Ellerbe is talking about by being the biggest star in boxing versus being the best fighter in boxing. Although you are the best fighter in boxing, that does not mean and always translate to being the biggest star. And I'm going to talk about that right after I let you all hear this interview as it pertains to Gervonta Davis, Tevin Farmer, and what is going to be happening with the future of Gervonta Davis. Now, those of you who tuning in, I appreciate it. Please like and share the show. It helps with the visibility of the show, and we're going to get more people in so we can talk about this matter as it pertains to Gervonta Davis rising in the sport of boxing. But here, check out this interview with Leonard Ellerbe.
Gervonta Davis and Tevin Farmer here.
Who?
Tevin Farmer.
Oh, he's a good. Oh, I know you. Tevin's a good little young kid. Good little fighter. I thought that he got. I don't want to use the word robbed. I thought he won the fight in this fight. Good little young fighter. Just got to keep on doing this thing. So he'd be okay.
Speaking of Gervonta, when's the timeline for his return, you feel? And
he's fighting April 21st.
April 21st? Mm-hmm. Opponent?
I'm not ready to tell you that yet.
Not yet? How soon are you guys going to announce it, you think?
Within the week.
Within the week?
Within the week.
Is it going to be someone in the top 5, top 10?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, because, his return's anticipated.
It's highly anticipated. We're going to... Gervonta's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. Gervonta is going to be, in my eyes, Gervonta will be the biggest star in the sport. Down the road, he will be the biggest star in the sport. And I'm 100% confident of that.
What do you make of the Lomachenko stuff going on with Gervonta, Loma?
I didn't really pay it no mind because Gervonta, he wanted to come out and respond to all that nonsense, but Floyd told him not to. I told him not to because at the end of the day, somebody who's talking, who been forced to say whatever he was saying. Lomachenko's an outstanding fighter. I know he was told to say that. I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
He's a nice young man, an outstanding fighter. Wish him continued success. But what he's doing don't have nothing to do with what we're doing.
Do you think their paths are going to cross though? Do you?
If he's around, when I say if he's around, I mean we're going to do what we're doing. If the two meet, great. If they don't, it's okay. Mm-hmm. Gervonta Davis will be the biggest star in all of boxing.
Mm-hmm. I know that's a fight that a lot of fans want to see. Mm-hmm. Him and Gervonta given the styles and stuff. Mm-hmm. For you guys, it seems that it's not a priority at this point. Explain a little bit as to the game plan there, as to what you guys want to do with Gervonta.
What's up, babe? It's not.
And why is it not a priority at this point, as opposed to maybe a year from now, 2 years from now?
Our priorities are Floyd Mayweather's priorities. And we're going to continue to elevate our young fighters, create opportunities. Our priorities aren't top ranks priorities. You know, they're on the fast track. They got to rush him. He's 30, what? He's 32, 31. Yeah, they got to rush him. They got to rush him. Hurry. That's what they got to do. My kid's 22 years old. He just won the world title last January. You know, he's still got a lot to learn about the sport, a lot about being world champion and the responsibilities that come along with that, and getting better as a fighter. You know, you never know too much. You know, he's 22 years old. He just became world champion. The other kid, I don't know what their plans are, and it's none of my business. Wish him the best, though.
So you said a few times now that your goal is to make Gervonta Davis the biggest star in the sport. So that's Floyd's objective and my objective.
So your objective and star power has nothing to do. See, people get the two mixed up. You know, you can be the best fighter.
Well, that's the point. You
can be the best fighter. But you can be the biggest star.
So you have no intentions on proving that Gervonta Davis may be the best fighter. You more want him to be the biggest star, because, for instance, you guys don't like to acknowledge Tevin Farmer, but Tevin Farmer is in the game to be the best fighter in the division. You guys are more concerned with being the best stars.
Tevin Farmer is doing what Tevin Farmer's got to do, and he can continue to do that, and wish him nothing but the best. But at the end of the day, in the big scheme of things, it's like
it's all about the money.
I mean, that's everyone's entitled to their opinion. I mean, I respect anybody's opinion. I mean, but to answer your question, I think you kind of got that confused.
I'm just trying to figure it out, because we know Tevin and Gervonta say they want to fight each other, but you're
but fighters, that's what fighters do. That's what fighters do. Right. That's what fighters do.
So you guys.
What does Tevin Farmer bring to the table?
He's bringing a lot. I mean, he's an excellent good fighter. The people want to see it. He just fought for the title. What Gervonta lost because he didn't make weight. So in reality, in my opinion, they're on the same level. They should fight.
No, Gervonta Davis is. Tevin Farmer's on what level?
On the same level as any world champion out there. He just fought.
Really? Has he been world champion yet?
He should have been.
Okay, but
you said that you thought he won.
Did he become world champion?
Unfortunately, no, due to whatever reasoning we can't control.
That's unfortunate, and I wish the young man the best. All he has to do is continue doing. I think personally, he's a terrific young fighter. Right. I think he's a terrific young fighter.
So is Gervonta. I think that would be an excellent super mega fight, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, again, I think I know a thing or two about this sport and the direction that we're going with our fighters. If he happens to be one of the guys that we're fighting, so be it.
Now, what is it that Leonard Ellerbe said that was wrong? Now, I'm not seeing it at all, period. Because when you talk about Gervonta Davis and what it is that he can bring to the table, Tevin Farmer can't bring that to the table. Let's talk about Tevin Farmer's career as it is concerned so far in the sport of boxing. Now, Tevin Farmer is one of those guys who, when he started out boxing, his professional career, early in his professional career, you know, he took a lot of losses. About 4 losses, to be exact. Tevin Farmer lost to a guy in Jose Pedraza who Gervonta Davis handled very easily and knocked out. Right? Now, what it is that Lou DiBella is doing with Tevin Farmer is not on the same level of what Gervonta Davis is receiving with having Mayweather on his side. So it's easier to make Gervonta Davis a bigger star or bigger star than Tevin Farmer based upon what Gervonta Davis has on his side. When has Tevin Farmer fought overseas and captured a world title? Please let me know. When has Tevin Farmer went overseas and captured a world title? You won't be able to tell me that. And the reason why you won't be able to tell me that is because Tevin Farmer has his career, although he ripped off for what, about a good 20 wins straight, 19, 20 wins straight after his last loss. That's phenomenal. I'm not sitting here saying or taking anything away from Tevin Farmer as it pertains to him and Gervonta Davis. I'm not. But what I am going to say, as it pertains to these two fighters, they're not on the same page as far as what road I'm on and what road you're on. Although we both can meet up and eventually fight for the IBF. But as of right now, when Tevin Farmer had the chance and the opportunity, he lost to Kenichi Agwa. He was outpointed by Kenichi Agwa, although everybody feels as though he was robbed in that fight. I feel as though he was robbed in that fight. Leonard just said he felt as though, he was robbed in that fight. Everybody feels as though Tevin Farmer was robbed in that fight. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, he left it in the judge's hands and he lost the fight. He lost. Ain't no way you can cook it up, add it, whatever it is, preservatives, whatever it is you're trying to add in to make this thing good. You can't. But with us sitting here saying, well, okay, we want to see Gervonta Davis versus Tevin Farmer. Absolutely. Who don't want to see that fight? But at the same time, what is Tevin Farmer going to bring to the table as far as him defeating Gervonta Davis? Are you saying he's going to outbox Gervonta? Because last time I checked, Tank, if you go and look at Tank last 3 fights, right? And Gervonta last 3 fights, I'm going to go ahead. I have them right here. I'm going to go ahead and tell you exactly what they were. He fought Francisco Fonseca, Lim Wash, and Jose Pedraza, right? All knockout. If you want me to go a couple of more fights with that, he fought Mario Antonio Macia, knockout. Guillermo Avila, knockout. Luis Sanchez, knockout. Cristobal Cruz, knockout. Ricky Dule, knockout. I can continue to go on and on and on as Gervonta Davis is concerned about him getting knockouts. And Tevin Farmer, a guy with no power, although you can punch and you can box, that is good. But when you talk about star power and knockout power, Gervonta has it. He has it. And it's not like he lost in the ring. The guy is still undefeated. Still undefeated. He lost his title because he did not make weight. He lost it on the scale. And albeit he was going through things throughout his life as far as, things outside of boxing that could have had his head somewhere else. But come fight night, he came, he showed up, he performed, and he got the job done, and he won by knockout. So what do? They give Tevin Farmer an opportunity, right? They give him a chance. Well, Tevin, here's your shot at the title. You win the IBF title, then guess what? We can definitely set up a money fight with Gervonta Davis. This fight should be happening now. In April. Just being real. That fight between Gervonta Davis and Tevin Farmer should be happening now in April. But did Tevin Farmer hold his end of the bargain by winning the fight against Kenichi Agwa? Absolutely not. He lost. It don't matter if I sit here and say, you know what, he won that fight. If Leonard Ellerbe sit there and say, you know what, he won that fight. Lou DiBella, whoever could sit there and say he won that fight. But according to his resume, it's a loss. So when you talk about what it is he can bring to the table, This is where people getting it misconstrued. Everybody's thinking about Gervonta being afraid, Gervonta being scared of guys like Lomachenko and Tevin Farmer and all these guys. He's not. Not by a long shot. I mean, this is a guy, and I said this earlier, and I kid you not, I had to go back and fix up what it is I said, because my boy IOTBA was doing a show earlier this morning, and he said something. He was talking about this subject, and I said, well, when I talked to Floyd Mayweather Sr. on yesterday, I figured out why they were kind of like maybe, this is a maybe, hiding Gervonta Davis. And I use the word hiding. And I'm going to, come back and reword what it is I said, because I didn't choose the correct words. Right? I didn't choose the correct words because I used the word hide. And I don't think I should have used that word, but I'm being honest with you guys. Check this out. Gervonta Davis right now, everybody was saying, well, why he won't fight Lomachenko? Right? Lomachenko is how old? Lomachenko is 32 years old, right? So any fight that Lomachenko can get right now, being the fact that he's 32 years old, and a guy in Gervonta Davis, who is 19-0, 18 knockouts, you mean to sit here and tell me that this young fighter is afraid? Only being 23 years old is afraid of Lomachenko? Why do he need to take this fight with Lomachenko right now? I'm trying to figure that out. Why does Tank need to take this fight with Lomachenko right now? Because what is it? I mean, who is it benefiting? Is it benefiting Gervonta Davis? Absolutely not. It's not benefiting Gervonta. How is it benefiting Gervonta? I'm trying to figure out, if he was to fight Lomachenko now, how would it benefit Gervonta? Besides him being known for maybe like knocking out Lomachenko. Right? But if you're Lomachenko and you're 32 years old, you should be worried about what it is that you're doing right now. Let me move up and fight a guy in Jorge Linares. And then potentially have a fight with Mikey Garcia if I do capture the Jorge Linares title. Or maybe not Jorge Linares. Well, after the Jorge Linares bout, we will really see what Lomachenko is made of, because we really couldn't tell in the Guillermo Rigondeaux fight, given the fact that Rigondeaux came up 2 weight classes to fight Lomachenko, and he was the older guy. And I'm not sitting here taking nothing away from Vasily Lomachenko. He is a great fighter. Has skills to pay the bills. But what I have a problem with is guys saying Gervonta Davis is afraid of Lomachenko. And you sat right here and heard Leonard Ellerbe state that they told Tank, don't say nothing, Tank. There's no need for you to buy in to Lomachenko and what it is that they're doing right now with Top Rank, because they're rushing everything with him because of his age. The guy's 32 years old. He has to fight. Every fight for Lomachenko from here on out has to be a big time fight. And I mean a big time money fight. Big time world titles on the line, big name, big everything. Lomachenko needs that now. Tank, you don't need that now. You continuously to build your resume and build upon your career. And if the time is right down the road, then absolutely give Gervonta this fight with Lomachenko. We've seen it from time and time and time again. Everybody want to sit here and rush every single fight. We can't do that. Right now, we're rushing Errol Spence and Keith Thurman, right? Errol Spence was calling out Keith Thurman ever since he was 4-0. He posted it on his Twitter when he was 4-0, where he was calling out Keith Thurman. So it's not like Errol is giving Keith Thurman, the true pass that he deserves. No, I'm still gonna put the pressure on you and call you out. Because this is something that has to be made. Because guess what? Errol Spence has a title. Keith Thurman has a title. Multiple titles. Now you're talking about unification in the division. You have to have this fight. Did we give Kell Brook a pass? When Kell Brook faced Errol Spence coming off of injury? Did he have a tune-up fight? Hell no, he did. So they made that fight happen. So how can that be the same as us rushing Lomachenko versus Gervonta Davis? How? Tank don't have a title right now. Although Vasily has a title at 130, but he's going up to 135 to fight Jorge Linares. So obviously, if he keeps the title at 135, what makes us think he's going to drop back down to 130? He's going to continue to look for big names and get as much as he can, because he is at the latter part of his career. $32 years old compared to 23. 11 fights. Gervonta has 18 knockouts. And we still say Gervonta's scared. Get out of here. We tripping, right? If you think that, you have to be tripping. Now we was talking about the guys who, Tevin Farmer faced in his career, given the fact when he was going on a 20 fight win streak, before he just had this last loss to Kenichi. The guy really went the distance with almost damn near everybody. He went the distance with almost everybody. So, like I said, Tank ain't afraid of no Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer don't possess the punching power to scare any damn body at 130. He don't. If he do, please let me know in the comment section. Those of you who tuning in, you want to sit here and say that this guy is afraid of Tevin Farmer, and Tevin Farmer, has something that Gervonta Davis don't have, which if people saying that they're on the same level, the reporter said, I see them being on the same level right now. How can you say they're on the same level right now? Are you saying that based upon star power? Or are you saying that based upon boxing skill? Or are you saying that based upon what it is that Tevin Farmer can actually bring to the table? Or are you just saying that just because you really want to see that fight? And albeit we all want to see Tevin Farmer versus Gervonta Davis because they're two young. They're two young savages, two young guys who are striving to be the best in boxing. Not once did Leonard Ellerbe say Gervonta Davis is not striving to be the best fighter. He just said Gervonta Davis is going to be the biggest star. What's wrong with my promoter saying that he wants me to be the biggest star? Not only is it coming from Leonard Ellerbe's mouth, but it's coming from Floyd Mayweather's mouth. Are we gonna sit here and say Floyd ain't putting Gervonta in any tough fights and all Gervonta is fighting is bombs? How can we say that? When the guy went overseas in another guy's territory, knocked him out, took his title, and we want to sit here and say, oh, he's having, cupcakes as fights. Liam Wash, 21-0. And they fought at the Copper Box Arena in Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park. Not here in the States. Not here. But he beat Liam Wash by TKO, knockout. Francisco Fonseca, 19-0. Undefeated. Get knocked out. Jose Pedraza, 22-0. Defeated Tevin Farmer. Knocks him out. I'm really trying to figure this out, people. You have to make sense when you come after and you say things like, oh, they're hiding, they're protecting, they're doing this, they're doing that. Look at it from an economic standpoint, because you do know money plays a big part as far as contracts and fights being made. Tevin, if you go back and look at the original video of them two going there, him and Gervonta, Tevin Farmer said, when I get my WBC, will you be willing to unify? And Tank, he don't have a problem with fighting Tevin Farmer. Now, we did talk about in the last show, not Tevin Farmer, but Gervonta Davis and the Devin Haney situation, right? Devin fighting at, I believe, 135. Tank is at 130. Tank can come up and fight at 130. I mean, the guy, he walks around a little bit bigger than what he should. So him making 135 is easy for him. Easy work. But that's a fight that can potentially be made down the road. But when we talked about that fight in particular, I was sitting here wondering for sure in the doghouse when that footage was rolling, although they did not share the sparring session, who was the better man that night? I wanted to know the answer to that question. I asked Devin. Devin said they need to release the footage and that he gave Gervonta that work, right? But if we asked Tank, when the question was brought up to Tank was like, he beat the brake shoes off of Devin. But then I knew it was a guy in particular that I asked, Mr. Floyd Mayweather Sr., who was there. I asked him what happened in that sparring match between Gervonta Davis and Devin Haney. And he beat around the bush a little bit, That's just how, Floyd Mayweather Sr. is, because, he has a heart for Gervonta as well. But little did he know them two were beefing at some point. And I brought it to his attention and talked to him about it and got his thoughts on what happened and actually took place in the sparring match. And some of the guys that were with Floyd Sr. was like, yeah, Devin gave Tank that work, right? But my thing is, well, okay, we can't buy a lot into sparring because it's sparring, right? It's something that we have to learn. We can't always buy into sparring sessions because fighters may be working on certain things in particular. But like, I'm gonna be honest with you, in a doghouse in Mayweather Promotions camp, if you've seen some of the videos and what happens and take place in the doghouse, I don't know who was working on what that day, but as far as that footage is concerned, that's something that I would love to see. But with these two fighters that we're talking about right here, Gervonta Davis, Tevin Farmer, this is a fight. If people really want it bad enough, it'll be happening probably by the end of 2018. And then when it happens and he knocks out Tevin Farmer, then I wonder what people are going to say then. Because all y'all going to do is cook up the next name. Oh, well, he needs to fight Lomachenko. But y'all are pushing this Tevin Farmer against Gervonta Davis as if he poses a threat to Gervonta. I'm trying to figure out, how does Tevin Farmer pose a threat to Gervonta Davis? Nobody said anything to me yet in the comment section. Obviously, all y'all feel the same way that I do because you're hush mouth right now. And if you're hush mouth right now, we can keep it that way. But at the end of the day, and when it's all said and done, Tank is nowhere near afraid of Tevin Farmer. The guy is up in camp with Mikey Garcia, preparing with Mikey Garcia. He's going to be ready for what's to come as far as all the hatred, all of the noise. We're going to see in April the 21st what Gervonta Davis is going to start doing as far as his career is concerned from this standpoint. Because Tank ain't afraid of nobody. Believe me. He's not. And like Leonard said, Tevin is a great fighter. He's a great fighter. And Tim, weigh in your thoughts. Shout out to my boy Timothy Stafford, who's tuning in right now. But Tim, give me your thoughts. I mean, what is it that you think about this fight in particular between Gervonta Davis, Tevin Farmer, or Gervonta being the next potential star in boxing? I believe Leonard Ellerbe is right with what it is he's saying, man. I just don't see a real true threat to Gervonta and him being kept away from being the next potential star in boxing. People are sleeping on the fact that this guy is 19-0 with 18 KOs. And once he continued to knock out everybody that's put in front of him, because if you look at Tank, and if you've been looking at Tank last 5, 6, 7 fights maybe, right? It was just that knockout power that he had. But then you started having guys like Mario Antonio Marcia, even though he beat him by knockout, and guys like Jose Pedraza, kind of made the fight. Well, no, I'll say Guillermo Avila, the first guy who he fought, where the fight started to kind of go into the latter rounds before Tank knocked him out. From that point, Tank started to really truly work on his boxing skills, and we saw it a lot in the Jose Pedraza fight. Then we started to see the progression in the Liam Wash fight, and then you could tell he really wasn't afraid of Francisco Fonseca, so he just, blew past him. And he hasn't fought since then. And that was August the 26th in 2017. Now he's coming back April the 21st. And Leonard said this week, maybe, we'll have the name. By the end of this week, we'll have the name of who Gervonta will be facing. It is a guy that's in the top 5, top 10 in the division. So it's very interesting on who he will be facing. But according to what it sounds like in this interview with Leonard Ellerbe, it won't be Gervonta versus Tevin Farmer. It won't. But at the end of the day, I'm just waiting to see how this thing plays out at 130 pounds. I mean, you got some really good names that are there, and it's some good potential fights that are there. And I believe Gervonta Davis is going to, if he wants to, right? And if Floyd, and I can say this, if Floyd allows him to, see, because Floyd plans and the fighter's plans can be two totally different things, right? They could be. But I'm giving everything on Gervonta Davis' side right now because I believe in Gervonta. And I've seen what this guy can bring to the table. And I've seen what this guy can do under the bright lights. As Tevin Farmer is concerned, yes, Tevin started out slow early in his career and he went on a run to where he ripped off a lot of victories, but he lost to Konnichiwa. And hopefully we're able to get this fight. But what I'm going to say is when Gervonta knocks out Farmer, what will you all be saying next who wants this fight so bad? Who act like Tevin just have a puncher's chance? Like he got knockout power. Let's stop right there. You know damn well Tevin Farmer ain't got no knockout power. And he ain't going to be knocking out Gervonta Davis. But I'm just going to sit here and let y'all, say what it is y'all want to say. And the proof will be in the pudding by the end of 2018. Mark my words on this, because guess what? The pressure is going to start applying after Gervonta fight on the 21st, right? Albeit he may even get a title shot right after the 21st. And once he win the title, people are going to be cooking up Tevin Farmer name so much that Floyd is just going to get to the point, him and Leonard are going to get to the point to where they're just going to say, you know what? Line them up and we're going to knock them down. And we're going to see who y'all are going to be calling out next. And you can't say it's going to be Vasily Lomachenko because we don't know what Lomachenko is going to do against Jorge Linares. And I'm not going to sit here and say Jorge Linares' skill set is on the same as Lomachenko's right now. But Jorge Linares is proven at 135. The guy's proven. Lomachenko is trying to prove himself because everybody is only seeing what it is he done in the amateurs. Albeit you beat a guy in Gary Russell Jr. You beat Nicholas Walters, who came off of a layoff. That's one thing that nobody's gonna talk about. Nicholas Walters. Oh, he beat the brake shoes off of Nicholas Walters, made him quit on the stool. Nicholas Walters was on a layoff before he took a fight with Lomachenko. If Nicholas Walters have been training, putting in the work like he was doing before he captured the world title, then things would have been different. I can promise you that. And I agree with Tim. Tevin is going to get that smoke if he step in the ring with Tank. Now, I'm not saying Linares is going to lose outright to Lomachenko because that's a fight that we just don't know, right? And if you want to talk about skill set, yes, Lomachenko has the better skill set. But I think Jorge Linares is a guy who is not going to get scared, who is not going to quit on his stool, who is going to fight a hell of a fight, and he's going to listen. If you watch boxing, you would have known guys like who is the guy who Lomachenko fought? Miguel Mariaga, right? Miguel Mariaga was able to get hands on Lomachenko. So y'all want to sit here and tell me that Lomachenko won't get touched by Jorge Linares, who is quicker than Miguel Mariaga? Stop playing. But this is boxing. And this is what I love about the sport. This is what I love about the sport, because this is a fight that we really truly don't know what is going to happen. Everybody's going to say, oh, well, Loma's going to win because he has momentum on his side because what he did to Rigondeaux. But I'm telling you all, don't buy into the Rigondeaux victory. You can't buy into that. Rigondeaux was the smaller guy. And we all know he was way older than Loma was. Way older. But Tim, we're going to see Linares versus Loma. That's going to be a hell of a fight. And I'm really looking forward to it. The 21st, we're going to see what Gervonta Davis brings to the table. Who he will be facing will be announced in the upcoming week via Leonard Ellerbe. And outside of that, with Tevin Farmer, we just don't know what Tevin have coming up next, because there hasn't been a fight that's in place or a fight date that's in place for Tevin Farmer. So maybe Tevin is waiting to see if he can be a contender or put himself in a mandatory position again, maybe taking another fight to where he's there for Gervonta by the end of the year. It could potentially happen that way. And I could see it happening that way based upon, what it is that we have left in the 130-pound division. When you kind of like figure out what's going to be what as far as the division is concerned, you can say, well, you know what? We have the potential to get that fight at the end of the year. We can say that. But it's going to be good. I'm really looking forward to it. These two guys right here, Gervonta Davis, Tevin Farmer, they are, creating and generating a big buzz in their division. Lomachenko is right there, but he has moved up to 135, and he is wanting to face a guy in Jorge Linares. And we're looking forward to seeing that fight as well. But with these two guys right here as it concerned, I just don't know. I just don't know what a lot of people may be thinking as it pertains to Tevin beating Gervonta. Just don't see it happening. But everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I respect everybody's opinion. And at the end of the day, we can only see what is going to happen. Is Mayweather Promotions going to give us this fight? It remains to be seen. Leonard Ellerbe right now, that's just not their focus. That's just not where they're not worrying about Tevin, because Tevin doesn't have anything right now. He don't. He hasn't fought for the same money that Gervonta's fought for. So obviously he's not going to be the A side. He can't demand or control anything. All he can do is ask, can he have the fight? That's it. But it looks to be interesting though. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this whole thing in its entirety plays out. And I don't feel as though what Leonard said was wrong. I agree with everything it is Leonard has said up until this point, and how they are trying to build Gervonta Davis to be the biggest star in boxing. Y'all want to sit here and talk about Floyd Mayweather being the biggest star in boxing, but he wasn't the best fighter? Because Floyd didn't take risk. All he did was run. He cherry picked all his fights. That's what we heard year after year, time after time. But guess what? Those same people who sat there and talked about Floyd. Well, let me go ahead and address Paul Mason, because Paul had put a comment in the section, because Paul has some insight. He said, my nephew was Leonard's sparring partner for Luke Campbell fight. and his good friend Sam Maxwell boxed Lomachenko in WSB. Linares is good, but not Lomachenko good. And Paul, I agree with you, bro. When we talk about skill set. But what I'm talking about is Jorge Linares has faced ring adversity. He's faced it before. He's been in tough fights. Everybody want to say the Orlando Salido fight for Lomachenko was like, one of his toughest fights, given the fact that he lost that fight, right? But what I'm saying is, a guy in Jorge Linares, he can still get hands on Lomo if he wants to. All he have to do is let his hands go. If Jorge Linares let his hands go against Lomachenko, Jorge Linares can be successful. And the reason why I say that is because I seen a guy, and if you all can go back, just go back tonight when you get a chance. If not tonight, but whenever you get an opportunity, just go back and look at Lomachenko versus Miguel Mariaga. And look at that fight, right? Without commentators or without nothing. And just look at how Mariaga was able to land punches on Loma. And you can't sit here and tell me, Loma was letting that happen. Hell no. And we want to sit here, and I'm not saying that Miguel Mariaga is on the same level as Jorge Linares, because Jorge is a whole lot better than Miguel Mariaga. But Jorge Linares will be able to get off punches in bunches on Loma, but he has to let his hands go. I'm not going to sit here and say, who's going to win, but what I'm saying is it's not going to be one of those easy victories where you got a guy in Jorge Linares sitting there quitting on his stool. I'm not going to sit here and say that. Sorry. But back to what I was talking about as far as Gervonta and Tevin is concerned. Tevin is going to take another fight. And hopefully, like I said, we get that fight by the end of 2018, just so Tank can shut all of the noise up. And the next time Gervonta Davis drops here into my town, my city, because, Tank be here a lot because he works with one of our best fighters that we have here in Eric Moon. He gives Moon a whole lot of work. And not only is he, there with Moon, but he be at other gyms that we have here, giving other fighters great work as well. So Tank this is like I don't want to say a second home because, he got Baltimore, Vegas or whatever, but this is like another home for Gervonta. He's welcome here. He has a lot of fans here who support him, a lot of supporters that are here, and he support a lot of young fighters that are here as well. So us potentially getting this matchup is going to be something in the making in 2018, and I could see it happening just because people continuously talking about it, right? And Leonard can say all day long, who's talking about it, ain't nobody really buying into it or whatever the case may be. Leonard can say that all day long. But we all know when you continuously, as fans, talk about a fight long enough, it's going to start putting the pressure on these promoters to get those fights done. Just so they can shut the mouths up of people who may believe this fighter can potentially upset this fighter. But, it remains to be seen. But I appreciate every single one of you who tuned in on this matter, on this subject right here, as it pertains to Gervonta Davis and Tevin Farmer. And is Leonard Ellerbe right with what it is he stated in his comments? I agree with Leonard 100% on him making Gervonta Davis the next biggest star in boxing. Gervonta has that potential. 19-0, 18 KOs. And he's looking for another KO come April the 21st. Man, who wants that smoke? Tevin sitting here saying he really truly wants that smoke, but if he get knocked out by Gervonta Davis, that's it for Tevin Farmer. That's what people got to understand and realize. If he get knocked out by Gervonta, and I'm talking about, I could see him getting knocked out by Gervonta, and I'm talking about flat on his face, knocked out. Not on your back. I'm talking about one of them ones where like how Manny Pacquiao got put to sleep. Tevin can go to sleep like that. I'm just saying, we sitting here underestimating Gervonta Davis and the power that he has in both of his hands. You can't underestimate a beast like that. And what's so good and what people are not talking about, Gervonta has been getting better each and every fight he's been in. Each and every fight Gervonta's been in, he's been getting better. On yesterday, I was speaking with an individual who was a part of the money team and Mayweather Promotions, who was there at Buckhead Fight Club with us on yesterday. I talked to them and I asked them specifically about Gervonta. I said, because we was talking about Tank versus Haney. And I said, is there something about Gervonta that a lot of people are not seeing as it pertains to just his boxing skill set? They said, absolutely. Gervonta's ring generalship. How he can cut off the ring easily and keep you where he wants you. And what's so awesome about that, not only did I just hear that from somebody that was in Tank's camp, right? But I turned around and hear the same exact thing from our fighter who he spars with here in Atlanta. And Moon. Moon told me, he was like, you know what? You really can't spar with Tank if you don't have defense, because he's so good with his hands. He can control you and move you and do whatever it is he want to do with you just with his hands in the ring. And it don't even look like he's just forcing you to do whatever. He's just that quick. He's just that fast and strong. And I'm like, you know what? Boy, Moon wasn't lying, because I sat right there. This footage ain't been released between Moon and Gervonta Davis, but I was able to see them two go at it. And that was a hell of a sparring session. And I'm talking about Moon is like 168. I think Moon probably during that sparring session, he was probably walking around 170, 175, maybe. Maybe. I'm just guessing. I had to talk to Eric, you know, when I see Eric, the next time I see him, like, Eric, what was your weight when you was sparring with Tank? The last time I saw, right? But when I saw that matchup between them two, it's like, damn, man, like Gervonta has so much crack in his hands and his and the power that it's just phenomenal. And this is him sparring a guy who is what, 135, 140, 147, 154, 160, 168, 6 weight classes up from him. and I'm talking about still had smoke coming out of them gloves, man. And I'm just sitting here saying, I'm not buying into the Tevin Farmer beating Gervonta Davis at all, period. I don't care how y'all cook it up. I have to see that to believe it. But you know, I'm looking forward to getting some things, you know, figured out as it pertains to the 130-pound division and what's going to be next in that division. Who else is going to be up and coming out of that division so that Gervonta could potentially be fighting on April the 21st. I kind of want to figure that out before Leonard Ellerbe go ahead and give us that news this week. I want to figure that out. Because he say he's in the top 5, top 10. And then top 10 is kind of a stretch, right? But who else is in the top 5 that Gervonta could be facing? We know it's not going to be Kenichi, because I think they stripped Kenichi, right? Because of the PEDs. So I believe Kenichi was stripped. And this is a guy who Tevin lost to, who was 25-4. I mean, not 25-4, but a guy who was Kenichi is what? 23. He's 23-1 with 17 KOs. But I think he was stripped of his title. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, how this thing plays out at 130 is going to have an effect of what's going to be happening and taking place in this division. I'm talking about with Gervonta. If he captures the IBF again, he's going to be looking to unify with the WBC. He's going to be looking to unify with the WBC, the WBA, the WBO. He's going to be looking to unify. Go ahead, clean up the division at 130. Right? Move up to 135. If he chooses to. I think he may skip 135 and go straight to 140. But hopefully by that time, Devin have been done moved up and capture his titles and whatever the case may be. And we may potentially get a big, huge, major fight between Tank and Devin, like down the road. I'm talking about a couple of years from now, you know. But it remains to be seen. This is Jeremy Sports Network. I will not be holding you all any longer on tonight. We will be back live on tomorrow. We will be discussing the Badu Jack versus Adonis Stevenson matchup. That is a very interesting matchup, a very interesting fight. And also we will be talking, because we're getting real close, for Danny Garcia versus Brandon Bam Bam Rios. What are y'all thoughts on that fight? We're going to be doing some film study on Danny Garcia and what it is that Danny needs to do in order to go ahead and get Brandon out of there, so that we can potentially set up a fight versus him and Errol Spence, so Spence can close Angel Garcia's mouth and Danny's mouth and go ahead and start cleaning up a 147-pound division. Because I stated Errol Spence is going to be the undisputed king at 147 when it's all said and done. And I stand by that, and I'm going to rock with that for a long period of time until I see somebody knock Errol off his throne. But we're going to be getting into it, guys. Thank everybody for tuning in. Please like and share the show. It helps with the visibility of the show. And we're going to keep this thing rocking. Like I said, I'm going to see you guys on tomorrow. It is going to be phenomenal. And if you're tuning in right now, drop in the comment sections on which fight you want to see from Danny Garcia. Is it Mauricio Herrera? Is it the Mont Peterson fight? Is it the Lucas Matisse fight? Like, what fight is it that you want to see from Danny Garcia, so we could do a film study on Danny on tomorrow? And that's something that remains to be seen. I'm going to leave it up to you guys in the comment section. And those of you who are tuning in to the show, this is Jeremy Sports Network. I am signing out. Peace.